Okay, so this video is going to take a look at relays. When you look through your parts list, you only have two relays, and I'm going to show you how both of them work. So we have this. We also have an H-bridge motor driver, and so that is a solid state motor driver, which actually acts a lot like this double pull, double throw, and that's about it. Okay, so when I put this on, I have one motor spinning at 17,500 RPM. And when I press the button, and I'll zoom in, it's going to put a negative sign in there. Now, if you look in this part of the relay right here, you'll see that when I press the button, it's flipping two switches essentially, or two levers on the switches. So this coil right here is electromagnet, and it is being supplied by this one battery. Now you could have it hooked on to the original power source. I was just having some trouble, so when I was debugging it, I thought I'll make it simple and I'll have a separate power supply running that relay. So when this switch is pressed, we have basically electromagnet causing this to happen. And one of the benefits of this particular double pull, double throw relay is that it's electrically isolated. Now, one of the downsides is that it has a decay voltage when the coil is basically turned on and off quickly, and it can jump up from 9 volts to probably several hundred volts. So when I press it, it goes to the other side. So the confusing part is, well, why is that so? If you follow the leads of the motor, you can sort of see that they are, this in the diagram represents this dot on the relay, and this dot on the relay represents the top. So really what's happening is that they're going to be these pivot points right here, and when I press the button, they're going to flip. And so why does the motor switch directions? Well, if you look at the wiring, we've got a positive voltage on these 2 points, and we have a negative voltage on the other 2 points. So as it goes, right now it's always hooked up. So we've got the motor hooked up on these, and you have the electricity going through the circuit in this direction for this particular case, and the opposite direction for the other case. So that is fairly tricky. There's a lot going on. The advantage is you only need one relay to get the motor to switch directions. The disadvantage is that there's no off position. Okay, so that's why we don't use them as much. Now, in robotics, over the years, we have used this setup quite a bit. So if you have a two-wheeled robot and you want to control 2 motors, then you need 4 switches. And so when you press this button, it's going to go in one direction, which would be the positive direction, and when you press this button, it goes in the negative. And so that can translate to a robot that you can control with basically 4 switches, or 2 in this case. So if we were to examine the diagram in this situation, and when you press it, you can sort of see what's triggering. We have our coil of wire represented by kind of a spiral, and that is controlled, like if you count the number of pins, we've got one that we're not using right here, and we got another that we are using. So we've got a coil wire, and that's these 2 pins. So on one side of the coil, we have a positive voltage that goes back to the battery, and on the other side of it, we have, it's the negative side of the battery, and it goes back. So when I press the button, it completes the circuit, which makes the electromagnet move the relay from one position to the other. Now these points down here are essentially either going to be connected or not connected. So right now we have a negative going through to your motor, and that's going to be the one that's connected. So this side of the motor would be negative all the time. And then on the other side, we've got the exact opposite. We have negative being connected all the time, and when we press the button, it goes positive. So that's kind of confusing, but I don't care that you really understand it totally. I've had a lot of people that can just wire it up, so kind of monkey see, monkey do, that you want to make this loop so that it joins these two pins together. Mine has to be fairly clear. Yours just has to work. So when you submit yours in using a video, you want to show me that when you press this button, the motor turns in one direction, and when you press the other button, it turns in the opposite direction. And for this one, I don't care that you understand it so much. I care that you know how to follow the wiring diagram. So when I press this button, it's going to reverse the direction. So it could be going in the opposite, like it could be going in a negative direction while you're not pressing the button, and then when you press it, it'll reverse. Okay, you can try to challenge yourself by having only one battery, and you can just hook it in here on the red and black. But as long as you can get it to work, I'm going to be perfectly happy with that. Anyways, good luck, have fun with that.